So this time last year at our Assemble, I gave a talk on the Chainguard Factory. It wasn't called the Chainguard Factory 1.0 because we didn't put a number on it. It was just the factory. We spent a whole lot of time as engineers working to finish the factory. It was an initiative we called Finish the Factory, and we thought we were done with it. And I came and gave an hour-long presentation going into all the in and outs of the factory. And that video is still out there. I know it's been useful to some of our customers and even some of our engineers who've joined Chainguard who said, hey, I watched the factory talk and that really helped. I'm here to tell you today that that talk is completely obsolete. Almost nothing that was in that factory a year ago before is really still even relevant at this point. We completely retooled the factory, and we put a 2.0 on it because the first one, of course, was the 1.0 that we didn't know was going to be a 1.0. And I can almost guarantee this is not the final state of the factory either. So I've got 15 minutes to sort of walk you through some of the major changes that we've put into the Chainguard Factory and helps us create the incredible products and then in product suite we have here at Chainguard. I'm going to set this up with the problem. And this was the problem that we set out to solve with the Factory 1.0. It's the problem that we had to solve in building this Agentic framework-based Factory 2.0. The first part of the problem is that what we're trying to solve here, building open source and doing so securely, that's a problem that is ever evolving. Open source never stops changing. And we're talking about thousands of upstream projects that we're tracking, each one with their own release cadence, their own bugs that they're solving, flaws in that software, advances in the software, net new features. It's evolving constantly. Separately, there's another entire train of CVEs. Hundreds of CVEs are disclosed every single day, and we spend countless CPU hours, machine hours, and human hours solving those CVEs, and that's not changing. In fact, the rate is ever increasing. There's another aspect of this. We're a distro at the heart of what we do, a Linux distro, and some of you are very familiar with stable enterprise distros. I'm here to tell you that stable does not mean static. It cannot mean static. And yet we seek to have that same stability for Chainguard, the OS that underpins everything. I'm telling you that the maintenance burden is absolutely relentless. And as the executive responsible for hundreds of Chainguard engineers that we love dearly, hiring more people doesn't solve the problem. We've got to invest in better power tools. And I love Dan's analogy from the morning keynote from that perspective. Now, patching faster isn't optional. We've got to move this entire engine faster. That's what we hear from our customers. That's what we hear from our prospects. If not directly asking for that, they're asking for the results of patching faster. That gap between when a disclosure happens and when solutions are available for it, that's the enemy's opportunity. That's the malware's opportunity to exploit those holes in infrastructure, in code, while they are unpatched. Every day that a customer runs software with a known CV is a day that they're exposed. And the supply chain attacks are up. And you know the famous ones, SolarWinds, XZUtils, Log4Shell. Those are the ones that make New York Times headlines. But behind every one of those are hundreds of others that don't make a headline that are still causing problems for CISOs, CIOs, and security engineers every single day. So what we're looking for is automatic, verified, and continuous improvements of the entire system. Now we're going to talk about agents a bit here. You've heard a lot about it here and elsewhere. I'm telling you, number one, they're not magic, and they're not just marketing. And these aren't the agents that might be presented as, chatbots or autocomplete or one-shot some source code here and there. You can ask an agent to do that. Give me a script that does something, something, something. Someone sent me a LinkedIn meme from last week where interacting with a Chipotle order bot, someone asked for a Chipotle order and a Python script to calculate the Fibonacci sequence or a sort of linked list. And it dutifully responded. Why? Because that chatbot was just ChatGPT in the background. It's not that kind of agent that we're talking about here. Here, we're talking more like a Unix daemon, a service, a thing that's running but constantly feeding new intelligence, using new intelligence and feeding that into a system that's always improving and self-healing. This loop right here on the third bullet, plan, act, verify, learn, and repeat, is at the absolute heart of everything that we do inside of the Chainguard Factory 2.0. And we're talking about executing real tasks in real systems in production and doing that continuously. I see a handful of our own Chainguard engineers here in this room right now. Their systems are off executing and running and building and fixing problems even while they've stepped away from their day job to participate in Chainguard Assemble. And I think that's pretty incredible, and I think that's right at the heart of the agentic approach that we have going here. Of all of those bullets, I think the learn bullet is the one that's most interesting to me. These systems that are able to take the output of every subsequent run and feed those logs back into the model itself and learn from that. It means fixing a problem once and never worrying about that problem again. And that's been the biggest evolution, I think, from the first iteration of the Chainguard Factory to this one, where literally every single run, and we did over 500 million builds of software over the last 2 years. 500 million builds. Every one of those incrementally gets a little bit better now. And so really we've taken prompts and pipelines and put those together into a system that truly automates some of the hardest problems in software supply chain security. Now, at the heart of all of this, I do want to say that ultimately humans stay accountable. The systems verify what's going on. Agents propose solutions. Humans approve those. Often in that plan step, a human approves the plan. And we achieve better and better trust through visibility and transparency in the whole process. And it's not just trust us, we know what we're doing, it's trust the data, trust the build receipts that come along with this securely built software. And so I'd argue that the accountability isn't removed or displaced, it's actually augmented. It's magnified, it's amplified by a system that's done like this and done well. So let's take a quick look at our Factory V1. Dan showed this diagram essentially in our morning keynote, and this was the state of the art last year, and I would say was probably one of the best open source Linux distro build systems out there anywhere in the world a year ago. We had bots. This was automation, human-written largely automation that monitored upstream repos, thousands of them, built those packages from source, applied some build rules, made some subtle adjustments, built packages that got spit out into a package repository, and then we had this separate system of image builders that consume those packages from that package repository, constantly rebuilding those, and just the nature of always having latest and greatest, coupled with our CVE advisories, our customers would end up with images that were ostensibly zero CVEs. And we had plenty of failures, things that fell out of this automation and ended up into various queues and teams of people that went and solved those. And we tried our best to identify the patterns and do a little bit better each time we built. Nothing like where we've ended up. So that Factory V1, sure, we had scheduled bots, a lot of cron jobs, some event-driven architecture here and there. A bunch of single source version discovery. We would monitor one place to see if some packages or libraries or projects or something like that bumped and released new ones. And we had a whole bunch of manual reviews in the process. In the Factory V2, which is what we're using right now, this isn't aspirational, this isn't where we're going, this is exactly how the Chainguard Factory V2 works today. Continuous agent reconciliation. The reconciliation takes that dream of where we want to be, that plan where we want to be, and continuously refines and reworks and tries to solve the problems that fall out of it until we achieve that defined ideal state. Multi-source discovery. This is discovering new releases of software and that information coming from multiple points, multiple sources, in case any one of them is down or in case there's an inaccuracy or some missing data. Will then combine multiple sources. End of life data, knowing when a project ends life and no longer gets updates from maintainers. We need to know that and so that we can service that properly. And then the AI-powered quality gates. This is a huge passion of mine, ensuring that the quality of the software that we continuously deliver to customers is always at least the quality of the previous version and always increasing a bit and trying to be a bit better. And that brings us from a reactive system to something that's actually self-healing, something that's actually getting better and better as we go along. All of this is powered by an open source framework that we've released just in the last couple of weeks called Driftless AF. Driftless, the AF stands for Agentic Framework, I promise. This is how we orchestrate all of these agents together and ensure that they're marching in the same direction toward the defined goals that we have. That diagram looks something like this, with this cycle, this loop that we're going through each of the different processes and they all interact and play off of one another. And here we've got multiple sources of information, end of life.date, releasemonitoring.org, our own plumbing into the upstream repos. We start that source code, we bootstrap and build everything from source. We submit those version bumps as PRs. Some of those PRs are automatically approved. If the agent has enough information to make a good, safe decision, we can approve that, we can bump that, we can move that forward. How can we do that safely, you might ask? Tests, Q&A, tons and tons and tons of tests. Upstream tests, if those exist, our own proprietary tests that we've added. I'm proud to say that 100% of our source projects are now covered by at least one proprietary Chainguard test, and many of them mini tests. That's complete coverage of the entire package ecosystem inside of Chainguard. I could not have said that a year ago, but we can say that now. That's how we know that each version is at least as good and ideally better than the one that came just before it. And so with that, we're able to produce the images, we're able to produce libraries, we're able to produce each of the different artifacts that we secure. So a couple of wins I'll go through briefly. Number one, I'm going to come right back to test quality. I think test quality is right at the heart of being able to trust the agents to do the right thing. You trust the agents to do the right thing with evidence, with data. And you can do that when you have a test that says, hey, this passes before, and then we merge in a new version and we rebuild it, or we add a new library, or we do something different with it, and then we run the test again. If those two match, then we're quite happy. And that's how we get to a point where even more of this automation can operate safely automatically. So just a couple of numbers that I have to say I'm actually ashamed of. These numbers are already out of date because the system is just working in the background. I mentioned the 100% test coverage of our 7,239 source projects as of last week. We're talking about hundreds of auto-generated test improvements, especially for our FIPS packages, our FIPS certified cryptography packages, 300 plus, and another 300 or more in progress. And these are constantly being added to improve our packages, improve our images, allow our customers to adopt this safely even more quickly. Big win number two, version discovery. We were actually able to improve the frequency with which we're able to detect new upstream versions, rebuild those, retest those, and republish those. Faster on average by almost 2 days, almost 48 wall clock hours. And now 100% of our packages are now tracked automatically. Before, half of them required some sort of manual review or manual intervention. This has been a tremendous improvement on eliminating a ton of manual toil, some of the hardest, most annoying, least valuable work human engineers had to do. We've been able to offload to agents and put those engineers to work on much harder and more interesting problems. Another big win is build fixes, being able to recover from something that worked before, a new version was merged in, and now stopped working. What happened? Well, every time previously that would happen, a new GitHub issue or ticket would be created. It would be added to a queue with 1,000 things on it, and I've got a team of 24 people whose daily job it is to burn down that list of 1,000 things that show up every night, and people would grab patterns and solve this one set of build problems. It maybe was a new C flag that needed to be adjusted due to a change in GCC or glibc or something like that, and someone would identify that, fix it, test it. We're now finding that we can automatically generate PRs that solve that problem, objectively pass the 37 green checks that have to pass in order for a human to come along, look at the diff and say, yeah, that looks pretty good. And in fact, let's just approve the entire class of PRs that look like this. And so you can see, again, some numbers that are far out of date already, and these slides are less than a week old, in terms of the impact it's had on our own developer velocity. The engine behind all of this is an open source project you can find on GitHub, sponsored by Chainguard, called Driftless AF. Would love to hear from you in the coming days or weeks if some of this works with you and works with your own backend systems and tools. This can really be used to drive almost any CI/CD system if you're interested in an agentic reconciler framework that identifies issues, tries to apply fixes, learns from those fixes, and then applies those. This is a architecture diagram that I won't be able to go through other than to say the key points are agentic reconciliation is what Driftless AF does. It's multi-model. We're able to use the Anthropic Claude models as well as the Gemini Google models as well. You can write once, swap the models, upgrade, downgrade, set a budget for that matter. Full audit trail. The telemetry is super important because it gives you that trust with transparency of the data. It also is data that can be fed in to make that system make better decisions in the future. Evals, bots, those are the bits and pieces, the atomic bits at the heart of all of this. So we're not saying just trust us, it's all AI. We're literally showing you how we do this with the Driftless AF open source framework, with the build receipts, the build logs, the quality assurance results. None of that is possible without the levels of automation that we have here. But with that, you're able to verify our adherence to our SLAs. There's this flywheel that ensures that we're constantly getting better, and I think that's the thing I'm most optimistic about, is that we're really at the beginning of a system that is continuing to build itself and make itself smarter and ultimately more secure artifacts and more artifacts. And all of that comes with more telemetry that's able to enable us to build even more. So in conclusion, I think this says it all. I think what we've tried to deliver and build here with a factory V2 is fast by design. We've designed it to be fast and automated. It's secure by default. We've taken the security best practices that we've implemented, baked that directly into the factory, and ensured that everything that comes out of the factory lives by that. And then that flywheel, the fact that this is going to get better every single day because we've plumbed in all of that telemetry to train the system and make it smarter over time. That is the end of this lightning talk, and I am turning it over to the man whose beard I aspire to have one day, Mark Manning.